Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And I had a fun idea for a video for year end that I wanted to make. This is which countries I've listened to the most new albums from this year in 2025. So, what are the best countries in the world for metal, rock, and prog? Because we all just need a little bit more. We all need more reasons to say certain countries are better than others. We all need more reasons to be divisive and put countries up against each other. Just kidding. But I thought it was kind of fun to think about it this way. And I'll spotlight like my favorite two albums from each of my top 10 countries for music listening this year. So you get to hear about some awesome albums from around the world. And I listened to over 400 albums this year, just over. And quick, I'll give two runner-ups before my top 10. Ukraine, I heard 7 albums from Ukraine this year, and Netherlands, also 7 albums. So those are my honorable mentions. And I'll jump into my top 10. So at number 10, I have Italy. Italy had some awesome music this year. I listened to 8 albums from Italian artists this year, and my favorite is Benthos and their album From Nothing, which I got a physical copy of here. And it's kind of progressive metalcore. It's got a little bit of gent vibes to it, mathcore, even some post-hardcore emo, and the clean vocals. But it's very experimental, very different, and very unique. It's a near masterpiece. It's the second album by this band, and I bought a physical copy, so that's enough said. It's really awesome. And a runner-up from Italy this year for me was a completely different sounding band, not metal at all, more on the prog rock side. It's a band called Nuova Era. They're an amazing prog rock band. They put out their 6th album, which is excellent. I won't try to pronounce the Italian name of that album, but it's an excellent prog rock album for fans of kind of the retro, old school sounding prog rock vibes. Gives me 70s vibes, gives me Italian progressive rock vibes, and they have great epic songs on it. That's Nuova Era. And my number 9 country of the year for music listening for me this year in 2025 is France. And I listened to 9 albums from France. And my favorite was by a band called Ethmeb, and it's called Allo Babar et les Caramboleurs, which is a French title, as you can probably tell. And this is avant-garde progressive death metal with power metal and even symphonic metal, kind of these neoclassical vibes to it from time to time. Very adventurous music, very unique. Another near masterpiece, and also a sophomore album, the second album by this band. And my runner-up from France is from a band called Fractal Universe with their album The Great Filters, another near masterpiece, and this is progressive technical death metal. Now, what's my number 8 country of the year? Number 8 is Finland, where I've listened to 10 Finnish albums this year. My favorite is an excellent melodic black metal album with folk and atmospheric black metal influences. It's by a band called Havu Krunu, and it's called Tavastland, an excellent black metal album. It's their 4th album, and yeah, they're rising up in my ranks of most respected black metal bands for me. And my runner-up from Finland is by a band called Joviak, and it's called Autofiction Part 1, Shards. And this is progressive metal. It's not super metal. It's almost on the border between progressive metal and rock. It's very accessible, not really like harsh vocal stuff. So probably one of the easier progressive metal albums for non-metal fans to get into this year. And it's their 3rd album, really excellent album, Joviak. Number 7 country of 2025 for music for me is Australia. And I mean, my favorite, I'm not counting Caligula's Horse, Bloom, 10th anniversary edition. I listened to 15 albums by Australian bands. And since I don't count Caligula's Horse Bloom because that's a 10th anniversary edition, it's not a net new album. My favorite will have to be King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard and their album Phantom Island. Hard to describe it genre-wise, but it's rock and it's got an orchestra and it's kind of proggy, it's kind of bluesy. I guess it's like symphonic progressive rock with orchestral, blues, pop, psychedelic, soul, and even southern rock influences. Excellent album. It's their 27th album. They keep really busy and they always change their styles. So they're a really exciting band to follow. And they do awesome live shows and they stream them on YouTube. So I've watched some of their live concerts and they're really awesome live. They do lots of, they don't do the same set every night. They change up their set list all the time, which I think is pretty cool. And they do like improvisations and stuff live. So exciting band to see live. I've seen them live before. So they put on a great show. And my runner-up from Australia is Terra Maze with The Harmony Machine. This is progressive metal, another excellent album, and it's their 12th album. And everything they put out is just banger after banger. Their early career was a little bit rougher, but like on the first couple. But once they hit their stride, they really found their groove, and everything they're putting out is just catchy. They're really catchy progressive metal. Another one that I think is very accessible progressive metal, not harsh at all. Like maybe the odd harsh vocal here and there, but pretty much 99% cleans. Really accessible, catchy stuff that I think even people that aren't super into metal could get into. Terra Maze, The Harmony Machine. Number 6 country of the year for music is Germany. I listened to 19 albums from Germany. And my favorite is by a band called Changeling, and it's their self-titled debut album, a German progressive metal band, progressive technical death metal, prog rock and jazz fusion and world music mixed in there. A near masterpiece. I kind of wish I bought a physical copy of it. Maybe I should. It's so good. And my runner-up from Germany is a debut album by a band called Via Nova, and it's called Hit It. They're a German metalcore band. It's kind of progressive metalcore. It's got a bit of gent, a bit of alternative metal, and even some like funk and pop, some weird influences thrown in there, like even almost like hip hop. Another near masterpiece, very unique new band. So I'm excited to see what they do next. That was great stuff from Germany this year. The number 5 country for music for me this year is Sweden. I listened to 20 albums by Swedish artists this year. My favorite is An Abstract Illusion with their album The Sleeping City. An amazing progressive metal album. Their 3rd album is kind of atmospheric. It's kind of death metal, so atmospheric progressive death metal. It's got black metal influences too, even like electronic and synthy stuff and keyboards. Very cool. This one is a true masterpiece. Just amazing album. And my runner-up from Sweden is something completely different, more on the prog rock side, not metal at all. Jonas Lindberg and The Other Side with Time Frames, the 3rd album by this Swedish band, and it's pretty much straightforward in the progressive rock category, inspired by bands like Spock's Beard, Transatlantic, The Flower Kings, kind of more modern progressive rock that's still heavily inspired by older stuff, classic progressive rock stuff like Yes and Genesis. So if you like the sounds of that, check out Jonas Lindberg and The Other Side with Time Frames. So that was Sweden. My number 4 is Norway. And my favorite album from a Norwegian band this year, well, I listened to 21 Norwegian albums, and my favorite one was by Okrist, and it's called Waving at the Sky. It's their 2nd album. I also really love their debut. And this is also kind of on the border between progressive metal and rock. Some of the songs are pretty metal, like when they bust out the screams, but they use it very sparingly. And a lot of the time it focuses more on mood and atmosphere and great production and sounds and cool compositions. And it's pretty much like a cross between Opeth and Porcupine Tree. So if you like those two bands, then you'll probably like this band, Ocrist. And I love Porcupine Tree and Opeth, so I enjoy this quite a lot. Near masterpiece there. And my runner-up from Norway is Moron Police and their album Pachinko, their fourth album. And this is more on the rock side, not a metal album. Symphonic progressive pop rock. It's got a little bit of a metal influence to it. Some of their older stuff is more metal, but this is pretty catchy, pretty poppy, but also progressive, adventurous concept album with alternative electronic, even a little bit of country and metal influence in there. Another near masterpiece. Great band, great album, Moron Police, Pachinko. So that was Norway, and we're on to number 3, which is Canada, my home country. And how many albums did I listen to from Canada? 30. I've listened to 30 albums by Canadian artists this year. And my favorite is Jacob Roberge and his album The Passing. It's an awesome debut album, and it's progressive rock. It's got a little metal influence, but not really metal. There's a lot of these kind of like progressive rock albums that are like flirting with metal this year, but like not enough for me to call them prog metal, but I still really love them because I love both prog rock and prog metal. So these ones that are on the border are always pretty neat for me, and this one's a masterpiece. It's just amazing that somebody came out and wrote this stuff by themselves, and as their debut album, it's quite a statement on the progressive rock community. And it's also really how you do a prog epic. Like the title track here is like 30 minutes long, and it's a masterclass in how to do a prog epic. And my second favorite Canadian album of the year is by a band called Centuries of Decay, and it's A Monument to Oblivion is the name of the album, and it's the second album by this Canadian band, and this one's atmospheric, progressive, technical death metal. And another near masterpiece. I'm surprised where are all these amazing bands coming from. It's just been a great year. Now, my top 2 countries, I mean, as an English speaker, I guess my top 3 are pretty biased. As a Canadian English speaker, it's almost always going to be these as my top 3 countries for music that I listen to. Of course, I like listening to music with vocals. I prefer if I understand the lyrics. I'm totally cool with listening to foreign language vocals, and I do that sometimes, but a lot of the stuff that I gravitate towards is, of course, in my language, English. So my number 2 country of the year for new music is the UK, where, England and surrounding areas where the language English started, and where this whole progressive rock scene kind of started with bands like King Crimson, Yes, Genesis, Pink Floyd, those kinds of bands, ELP, Jethro Tull, back in the late 60s, early 70s. And a lot of great music still comes from there. My favorite album from the UK this year is by a band called ILO, and it's called Legacy. And it's the second album by this band, and it's progressive metal, it's djent. It sounds a lot like Tesseract. It's got electronic, it's got pop, it's got progressive rock influences mixed in with that progressive metal djent sound. And if you like Tesseract, this is probably the closest band to Tesseract sound that I've ever heard. And yeah, they're very much like Tesseract, but they also have their own unique sound. They don't sound exactly the same, but they do sound quite a lot like them, I have to say. And I love Tesseract, and I'm not really bothered by bands that sound a lot like other bands. It's a little bit troubling if it feels like they're a ripoff and they're just like copying them, even at like the compositional level. But I didn't hear anything like that here. And I think this is original enough and interesting enough. I'm curious to hear them add some more stuff to their sound palette to differentiate themselves more. But I think that this is an amazing album, Legacy by ILO. And my runner-up from the UK is Tiktaalica and their album Gods of Pangaea. This is actually Charlie Griffiths from Haken, an amazing band that I love. And if I was counting live albums, I'd probably put Haken's live album, shout that out in my UK list. I listened to 61 albums from the UK this year, so like double the amount of Canadian albums that I heard. So, my top two really dominated. My top two countries really dominated my music listening this year, and they make up for over half of all music that I listen to comes from my top two countries. So the UK put out a lot of great stuff. ILO Legacy and Gods of Pangaea by Tiktaalica is my runner-up there, and that's the second solo album by Charlie Griffiths. And it's kind of progressive, but it's more leaning towards thrash metal, and it's got some groove metal influences. Also a near masterpiece, just like ILO. And then my favorite country of the year for music, it's got to be the big one just to the south of us. Number one, the US had a lot of amazing music. It's a little bit unfair because they're like, 10 times the size of Canada. I still think you got to represent Canada and say that per capita, Canada puts out the best stuff. Like there's 30 amazing albums from Canada that I heard. From the US, I listened to 150 albums. So about 5 times as many as I heard from Canada, even though Canada's a tenth the size. So I think per capita, Canada's really cranking out some awesome stuff, but it's hard to compete with all those people south of us. There's just more of them to get creative and collaborate with each other. So they put out some awesome albums from the US this year. My favorite is Between the Buried and Me with The Blue Nowhere, the 11th album by this American band. And it's progressive metalcore with, I guess, technical death metal influences, but also just a lot of different genres thrown in here. There's like kind of country and electronic and pop and alternative and that kind of country bluegrass, chicken picking, southern rock stuff. Really cool hearing that mixed in with their prog metal. Awesome album, masterpiece album. I bought a physical copy, of course. And my runner-up from the US is one that I got in Vital, which is Dream Theater Parasomnia, the 16th album by this legendary American progressive metal band. And it's a near masterpiece, not their best album, but a great return to form. Their first album with Mike Portnoy back in the band after his departure. He was replaced by Mike Mangini, who's a great drummer as well, but Mike Portnoy brings just a special flair to the band, and I love his drumming. And I love this album, Parasomnia by Dream Theater. So that's it. The US put out the most albums that I listened to this year, 150. And then it was the UK, Canada, Norway, Sweden, Germany, Australia, Finland, France, and Italy. So those are the countries I listen to. I know I'm very biased living in my part of the world and speaking the language that I speak. So, of course, I have some of the English-speaking countries like US, UK, Canada, Australia. And then, I don't think anyone would be surprised by this list if they've watched my channel throughout the year. They probably could have guessed my top 10 countries. But I'm curious to hear about other people's listening habits. Where do you listen to the most music from? And what are some of your favorites from each of the countries that you've listened to music from this year? This is, just a random video that I thought of for my year-end content, and I thought it'd be kind of fun before I jump into like my actual hardcore lists that are not really done by country, that are just like, what are my favorite albums of the year in various categories, like instrumental albums, post-hardcore albums, metalcore, mathcore, like by genre, black metal, other stuff like that, and my favorite EPs, favorite live albums, and then just my favorite albums overall, which is obviously an exciting video. So if you want to see any of that content that I'm thinking about and planning for the next few weeks, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and stay in the loop on when I post new videos. Peace out.